Dream big, never stop dreaming, because you can do whatever that you want as long as you believe in your dreams.
Welcome to the Dare to Dream Productions podcast. I'm very excited for today's podcast because it's a little different from our normal film podcast, but currently I'm working on a script about astral projection and spirituality. So I wanted to bring on someone who knows more than me and to learn from their experiences. Please welcome TikToker. Is that what they're called? How would you describe yourself?
Yeah, I guess it kind of makes me cringe a bit, but yeah, I guess that's what I do now.
TikToker, yeah. TikTok star.
Oh my god. Yeah, sure.
Ella, or best known as Fairy Bimbo. They have helped countless of people from around the world learn about spirituality. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
So how did you get that name, Fairy Bimbo?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I just sort of I have another private account, well, not private, but ones that my friend follows called Goblin Bimbo, and then I decided to make the new one, and I was like, you know what, we'll make it a bit nicer, a bit more clean cut, and we'll call it Fairy Bimbo. Why not?
It is cute though.
Thank you.
So let's just hop right into it. Could you please start talking about what astral projection is? And I know you said that you accidentally astral projected. I want to hear about that.
Yeah, of course. So basically what astral projection is the consciousness leaving the body whilst your body is still sort of present and okay. You're still breathing, you're still alive, but the consciousness just leaves and it can travel. You're in full control. It's quite bizarre because it doesn't feel like you are dreaming. You can sort of touch things and hold things as if you're alive, like you're in your body, if that makes sense. The sensations feel very similar, and it just feels like you're in your body but you're not. And yeah, so I accidentally did it one time, and I'm not gonna lie, it scared me so much. I was not expecting it at all. But basically it was sort of the middle of the night, and I just sat up and I was going to get some water, and I turned around and my body was just there, and I just wasn't in it, and I have no idea how it happened or what I did to achieve that. It would be great if I could try and achieve that again someday, but with a bit more preparation, because it was kind of a lot. I was kind of excited though, because I knew what was happening. I've read a lot about astral projection sort of in blogs and watch lots of YouTube things, listen to some podcasts in the past. So I knew what was happening. I went downstairs, and it's really bizarre because everything about my house was exactly the same, but the way I was viewing was just a bit skewed. My peripherals were blurry. It was really strange, and also I had no concept of time. So all the clock faces in the house, there were no hands on them, but everything else was the same, and it was very strange. And the reason why I got really scared, because there was part of me obviously initially freaked out, but also excited. But the reason why I got really freaked out was I heard my name being called upstairs, and it was from a voice that was not either one of my parents or anything like that. And I thought okay, maybe I'm not ready for this. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this right now, because I wasn't protected because it was an accident. So after I heard my name being called, I instantly just came back to my body, which kind of regret now, because could have maybe seen some cool stuff, but it happens.
That would freak me out for sure.
It was a lot.
Like, how did you get back to your body? Did you just think of it?
Yeah, it's like I just snapped back into it. So I was very much present downstairs. Like I could open doors and things like that, and it would be exactly the same as if I was in my body. But then just when I freaked out, I was like I remember just sort of like feeling like instantly panicked and just wanting to go back to my body. So, and then I got back. Like next thing I knew, I was sort of back in there. Bizarre experience, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of do want to try it again one day when I'm a bit more ready for that.
Definitely. So, like, when you came back to your body, did you see, like, the time and how much time passed when you were, like, in this?
I don't know what time it started because I was asleep already. So I really have no idea. Apparently, like, time feels way slower when you're projecting. So it could have been honestly a matter of seconds, a matter of minutes that it was going on for, but it felt like around 5 to 10 in what I was experiencing. But because it only felt like that short amount of time, it must have been even shorter to the actual body. I don't know.
Wow, yeah, that's really crazy. That time is, like, different. Like, I've heard that. And, like, what was it like seeing your own body, like laying there?
Kind of terrifying. I'm not gonna lie, like there was like a little part of me that was like, wait, am I dead? Is this what's happening? Like, why can I see myself lying there? But then I sort of realized what was going on. Like, if I hadn't known what astral projection was, I would have freaked out even more, I'm sure. But yeah, it just felt really bizarre and like surreal, intense as well. It's only once I sort of like clocked what was going on where I was like, oh, okay, like this is actually kind of cool.
Sense of relief. I'm glad that you knew what it was.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure loads of people have experienced that but haven't, and have probably just been like, oh my gosh. But also you can just get back into your body, so like, you know, they'd probably be all right.
So, do you have any advice for those attempting astral projection for the first time?
Yes. Like, as mine was an accident, I didn't have any protection up in my room at that time. Like, I cleanse my space like almost daily, which I'm super lucky that I do that. Because if I didn't have any form of anything in my room to sort of protect me, like, you never know what you're going to see or what can happen, because really you're going into a realm where it's really easy to communicate with like the spirit world or like different entities. So if you have loads of negative ones in your space because your space isn't clean, like that's going to be an even more terrifying experience. Yeah, I'd say just like make sure you're protected. Try not to freak out if it does work. Also, there's loads of accounts of when people are trying to astral project, like their body will start shaking, like their physical body. Push through that is what tends to be the sort of advice. And there are loads of different techniques to try and astral project, such as like there's one where you visualize pulling yourself out of your body using a rope. But if you do want to try and do that, definitely meditate first. I'd say practice meditation before you start practicing astral projection, because it will make the whole process a lot easier because you'll be more focused.
That makes sense. I've definitely almost astral projected. Like, I was meditating and then like my body started like vibrating and I could feel that it was like gonna come, but I like stopped myself because it got freaky.
Intense, yeah. Like
Yeah.
that, there are points of like meditation where it gets so sort of deep that loads of people will at that point, start to feel themselves like slowly leaving themselves. And it's like common because you're raising your vibration so much through meditation, that your consciousness is just at such a high frequency, it can leave so much easier. So yeah, that's why I'd probably say meditation is the easiest route to astral projection.
Pretty cool. So what about protecting yourself? How should one go about that? Like saging your room? What kind of crystals? I know that you work in a job with crystals, right?
Yeah, I have a online crystal shop, which is just mine. Can I do a cheeky plug real quick?
Yeah, of course. Promo it.
Yeah, a little one. It's at the Moon Market UK on Etsy. International shipping. Some crystals and crystal jewelry handmade by me. Yeah, that's all. But yeah,
get some.
Oh, why, thank you. But when it comes to cleansing your space and protecting yourself, I would say I've got some here, like black tourmaline. It's a really, really good protective stone. I'm not sure if you can see. As well as that sort of black obsidian is a really, really good one. I've got a little tourmaline ring as well that I always have on, like I never take it off. I would say, like, if you want to smoke cleanse your room, incense, like dragon blood incense, is probably the best way to go about it if you aren't native. If you are like sage, or if you're also African American, I think there's sage is also used as part of like hoodoo and voodoo practices, like and Santeria, I think, as well. But don't quote me on that. I don't know too much about different practice. I just sort of have my own. It's like eclectic, I guess, would be the best way to describe it. So I smoke cleanse using incense, but also there's this crystal called satin spar or selenite, which is a really high vibrational crystal. So it can also raise your vibration while cleansing your space. You could also sound cleanse your room, just whatever feels most comfortable to you. Also making things easier to sort of project. Maybe like amethyst or celestite would be great crystals to use on your third eye or crown, just to make the transition a bit smoother and raise your frequency a bit more.
Very cool. And then can you walk us through just like the process of astral projection? Like, should you do it in a quiet room? What should you have? Like, should you lie down? Should you like cross your legs? Like, walk us through the process.
However you feel most comfortable, to be honest. Like, you could do it sitting, like I'm cross-legged right now. You could do it sitting up like this if this is how you normally meditate. But people do tend to find it easier when you're lying down. Just try not to fall asleep and like stay focused, just because your body's in a completely sort of relaxed state. You know, when you come back, you're still going to be very comfortable, and just like, you know, then there's going to be no discomfort or distraction. So say if you are cross-legged and your leg starts to cramp up, you're then taking steps back because you're suddenly focusing on your cramped up leg rather than on projection. So you want to be completely relaxed, especially if you're not used to sitting cross-legged. If you are, and you can sit like that for extended periods of time, you'll be fine. Also, probably like a quiet room's the best. You can do it at any time. There's no specific like time frame, because when you're projecting, time isn't really a thing anyway. So whenever you feel comfortable, however you feel comfortable. Some people like to listen to frequency music. I like to do that when I'm meditating quite often.
What kind of hurts? Like,
yeah, sort of ones that resonate with your crown or third eye would be best, probably. I'm not sure exactly what those numbers are, But I know there's like different hertz for each energy point in your body, so probably for the third eye and crown would be the best.
Cool. And then what about when you like start, should you do affirmations beforehand? I watched this pretty bad movie about astral projection, and he started to transition from the physical to the astral plane by saying these affirmations. And is that common, or how should you start it?
I haven't heard too much about saying affirmations. I think one YouTuber I used to watch a while ago, I think he's changed his name to Vishuddha Das. I'm not sure if you've heard of him, but he's like massively into astral projection, and he's been to the astral planes like quite a few times, and he's a very relaxing person to listen to. I think he's really great. But he was saying something similar to that on one of his videos. Hang on, the film you watched, what was it called?
Astral?
Okay, I'm not sure I've heard of it, but was it the mind asleep, body awake? No, body asleep, mind awake.
No.
Okay, there's a specific affirmation that I've heard being like thrown around when it comes to astral projection. It's not something I've personally tried, but it's body asleep, mind awake. It can also be used for lucid dreaming. I think I've seen it in some kind of media as well, like that wasn't YouTube, after it was a thing in the spiritual community. I can't remember though, which is why I asked what film it was. But yeah, that can be helpful to some people. There's quite a few different sort of techniques to do it. So
Very cool. Yeah, the movie, it was just definitely like, it seemed like I was watching like a history lesson about astral projection, but then it was like him astral projecting, and then it was all different things thrown in there, like Ouija, tarot, like demons, like all of whatever, like occult and like spirituality, all thrown in there, and it was just too much.
it sounds quite intense, I'll be honest.
Yeah. But
have you ever seen Behind Her Eyes? I think
yes, actually,
yeah, okay.
we interviewed on this podcast. It was not, we didn't post it, but because it was for like school, but we interviewed the writer of that show.
Oh wow, that's really cool. Yeah. No,
yeah, what did you think of that portrayal of astral projection?
I obviously haven't experienced it at like that intense of a level, so I could not say if it was accurate or not. I'm not sure about, I don't want to spoil the whole thing if people haven't watched it.
You could just say spoiler alert. Anyone who hasn't watched it, don't skip this if you want to watch it.
I'm not sure about the whole jumping into different bodies part. I'm not sure how realistic that is, but like it's an interesting show. It's a good show. Like I don't think everything has to always hit the nail on the head with that, like how real it is, especially when it comes to sort of things that are a bit paranormal, I guess. Like it's fine, it was good. I enjoyed it.
Me too. It's definitely great. And also, like, that's what I was going to ask. Like, there's some, fiction side to everything, like, especially when you're making films. But would it be accurate? So my character, she astral projects and goes through these, like, she specifically sees, like, this hallway. And there's different doors. This is all probably, like, this doesn't happen. But she goes through different doors and she sees different versions of herself, kind of like her younger self and then her present self and then future self. Mm-hmm. And she goes into the present one and she sees that she's going to have a baby. And she tries to, like, stop that from well, that's sorry, I actually got that mixed up. So I'm also developing this right now, so it's all like
Up in the air.
yeah, up in the air. But so one time she goes into this other door and it's like her present day, and she takes like this pocket watch from the astral plane. She takes it. So is that possible, like to bring something from the astral plane to the physical, like back with someone?
That's a really good question. I haven't heard any accounts of that being possible, but I know that when you're in the astral plane, you can really manifest anything into existence on that plane, if that makes sense. So anything from your reality will already be there if you want it there. You can picture anything to be in your hand in front of you. You want a table there, there's a table there all of a sudden. Like it's very much like that. But I've never heard of anyone being able to take anything back or like manifest it from the astral plane. But you never know. It's all very different. Like all accounts of astral projection seem to be similar but completely different from each other. So you never know.
That is really cool though. Like you can manifest anything when you're there.
Mm-hmm. Just
That's
anything into existence. Go anywhere, see anyone.
wow. And that's another thing I want to talk about is like, so say you're in the astral plane and you wanted to talk to someone. Are you talking like to their real self? Or are you talking to like their being in the astral plane?
Okay, another great question. I think when you are in the astral, you can visit people if you are like strong enough energetically, like in the astral. Like I feel like doing things like this will take a lot of practice, or at least that's what I've heard. You can visit people on the physical plane in their dreams, like in their headspace. So you can actually be talking to them, but it's not quite them, it's them in their mind. Or you could manifest someone in front of you, but I don't think you are directly talking to the actual person, because then you'd have to pull them out of their body. So I feel like it would be a different astral version of that person. Yeah.
Very interesting. And then like what about, because in my script I have that the main character, she goes and visits her wife back at home because she's in a cabin, staying there to do some research about this, and then she goes home and her wife is sleeping and she tries to hug her wife. What would that like? Because could you touch people, like your astral self, like touching like someone physically?
I think you can, only because I remember when I was projecting, even though it wasn't for a very long time, I could feel things around me. Like when I took my duvet off to go get the water I thought I was getting, before I realized what was going on, I could physically feel the duvet and the things around me. Or like when I was opening doors, I could feel the door handle. So I think you can like physically touch people or things, but they might not be able to feel your touch. One of, I think you'll find this really cool. One of my friends is like a psychic medium, and she comes from a long line of like psychics and like spiritual people on both sides of her family. And she was telling me about her great grandfather, who was so strong at projecting, he could basically be in two places at once. So people would see like a physical manifestation of him in like our reality that wasn't him, which I thought was super interesting. But he was apparently a very, very powerful man, like very powerful.
Wow, that is so cool.
yeah, so this is what I mean about like maybe being able to bring stuff back from the astral planes. Like, you never know if he could show up in our world physically while projecting from his other physical body, and literally be in two places at once. What are the limitations, you know?
That's true. That's what I think about all spirituality. It's like, well, we will never know, but there's no limitations. Like, who knows what's out there, what could happen.
Where do you really draw the line, I guess? Like,
Yeah. Cool. And then let's get into some talk about like some do's and don'ts of astral projection.
So I was going to say, sort of like, as I've kind of mentioned before, like, do cleanse your space, do protect yourself, and do make sure you're ready to project, because you might see or hear some crazy stuff, and if you're not fully ready for it, you will just get a bit freaked out and it might put you off. Like, I know that when I heard the voice come from upstairs while I was projecting, it really did freak me out. Because it sounded like no voice I'd ever really heard before, and it did not feel comforting when I heard that voice. It just felt a bit like spooky. So I just say, yeah, make sure you're fully comfortable. I'm really sorry, I wrote down, basically just try not to freak out, and make sure you are protected. And also, like, as I mentioned before, make sure you practice like meditation beforehand, otherwise it might not go quite to plan. And also, like, don't expect everything to go completely swimmingly on your first try. I've tried to project intentionally before in the past and nothing happened, and that's okay. And like, don't get disheartened by that. It's really fine. It might be happening because you're not ready. It might be happening because you aren't quite focused, or there's something off, and that's completely fine. Just try again and keep trying, and it's okay.
Very inspirational. It's like anything in life, you know? Just keep going, keep trying. So let's talk about shadow figures.
Yes.
Have you like had any experience with them, or like I know you've done a ton of research on like astral projection and like spirituality. So go ahead, describe your experience or anything.
Okay. Shadow people, there are like two kind of main theories as to what they are. And the first one is low vibrational beings that can sort of drain your energy. And at first, that's what I thought I was seeing, because I have seen them before, and it creeped me out. I felt very drained after seeing them, and I just really freaked out. The first time I saw them was in Cambridge. There were so many. It was 3 a.m, super dark out, and at first I was like, am I just like seeing things? It's a bit dark, like maybe this isn't what I think it is. But then I just kept seeing them, and I was like, okay, yeah, Cambridge is an old place. There's going to be spirit there in abundance. So after sort of feeling creeped out, like I did see quite a lot of them that evening, and initially I was like very scared, but then I sort of got used to them, and then they didn't feel scary anymore. They just felt like they were there, and that was okay. They can't interact with me, so I didn't feel on edge anymore. Like, I felt quite calm all of a sudden after about maybe like 10 minutes of seeing them is when I calmed down, I'd say. I obviously didn't tell anyone around me that I was seeing them, because I didn't want to freak anyone out or, make anyone worry about me, because it's not a normal thing you see on your day-to-day. But yeah, it was really fine after a while. And my opinion on shadow people, since I did a little story time, has slightly changed. because there's a second theory that it is just a way of sort of sensing and processing spirit in early stages of like development in your spiritual journey, and that is a lot more comforting to me, I'll be honest, than low vibrational creepy beings. And I've seen them since then a few times, and it was only recently that I sort of found out that it could also just be an early way of processing spirit. I found that out from my medium friend. Like, I really trust her as a medium. I didn't know her before she did a reading on me, and it was so accurate. It was insane. And it wasn't things you could find online either. So I really trust her as a medium. I think she really knows what she's talking about. She was like, yeah, no, it's completely normal. They're not necessarily negative, because when you think about it, some of them might be, because there's negative and positive people, and then they're still themselves in spirit. So the shadow people could just be spirit, and the ones that are draining your energy, bad people. The ones that you feel more comfortable around, probably good people, which I also thought was super interesting. Again, it's one of those things that we might never fully know the answer to, but for now, that's sort of the best idea we have of them.
Is it like, what do they exactly look like?
Like shadows. Like, it's a very clear figure. Some of them are slightly more like transparent on the edges, but they're very clear, like human type shapes. The ones I saw in Cambridge really varied. Some were tall, some were small. Like, they literally look like adults, children, men, women, just sort of walking around in my peripherals. And also, say if I was looking directly at you right now, where the spirit or shadow person would be like literally a millimeter to your right or left, if that makes sense. But if I was looking directly at it, it would go away.
Oh, really? So they, like, once you see them, they like disappear.
It wasn't like disappear, because as soon as I'd like move my eye line again slightly, it would be back. So it wouldn't disappear, but I couldn't see it. If I directly focused in on it, it would be like a millimeter either way. Like, I could be looking directly next to it, like right next to it, and it's there, clear as day. But as soon as I looked directly at it, I just couldn't see it anymore, which was really bizarre. And there were loads of them. Just some of them were moving around, some of them were stagnant, some of them, like, I'd look directly at and they'd be in one place, and I'd look slightly away and it would have moved slightly. Really bizarre. And sort of other times when I've seen them, there's only been like one every other time. And what I tend to do, if it's like in my room, which is less pleasant than when I'm out and about, I'll be honest. It feels a bit more personal, a little bit more intrusive. I'll just use like a incense stick, and I'll burn it, and I'll try and smoke cleanse it out, open my windows. Also, I like to bang things together just to get things gone, like pots and pans, right, out you get. And it tends to work. Like, you've got to set boundaries.
Wow.
Yeah.
So do they talk? Have you ever heard any? No.
No, I've never heard one speak. I'm not sure if that happens to many people. I'm sure it's not impossible. Like, the fact that I'm seeing like shadow people, like, why draw the line at, oh no, they can't talk, like maybe they can. Like, some people claim to have heard like noises, like just like sounds coming from them, like mumbling sort of noise, but nothing that sounds like proper speech. But yeah, if they are just the way that I perceive spirit currently, then I'm hoping that eventually I will be able to speak with them, and I'm assuming that would mean that they could speak. But if they are these low vibrational beings, then I'm not sure.
Yeah, if you want to even speak to them.
Yeah, I'd rather not, if I'm honest. Yeah.
So what are you supposed to do? Like, you said to, like, when you do see one, you should probably try to get it to go away.
Yeah. I mean, that's just me, like, right now, especially if it's in my space. Like, when I was in Cambridge, I made no effort to make them go away. Like, I'd assume that's where they are. That's more their space than mine. Like, I don't live there. That's not anywhere that's particularly connected to me personally. Like, they can be there. It's not hurting anyone, them being there. But when they're in my room, like, I've had one in my room one time, it feels like an invasion of privacy to me. It's like having a stranger in your room. That's what it feels like. Again, not sure if it's spirit or something else. But whether it's spirit or something else, I just wouldn't particularly want that in my space unless it was, say, a guide or something like that. But I'm not sure that's how guides present.
Mm-hmm. When you say spirit, what exactly are you referring to?
Ghosts, I guess.
Okay.
Like, things that used to be like people or animals in spirit in this realm. So there's sort of the idea of like crossing over, which is after you die, and then we don't know what happens after that point. No one does really. Like, you can believe in something, but I guess there's no sort of evidence currently. I'm sure we'll find out one day when we inevitably pass. But there's sort of the idea of like spirits lingering here that I do kind of believe in, and I do believe in the crossing over. Just because, I don't know, there has been too many experiences for me to not believe that spirit is here with us.
I definitely agree. I've had some crazy kind of ghost things happen, so yeah. Definitely believe in that.
Do you want to give me an example? I get really interested in stuff like this, or do you want to?
Yeah. Definitely. So one time, this is probably my most just like chills I get. So my best friend is very spiritual, and she was over at my house for a sleepover with my other friend, and it was like 4 a.m. or something, and we're all sleeping. I finally wake up to go to the bathroom, and I go to the bathroom, like I get up from like we're all sharing like a bed, and it was in a basement, and I always had like really basements, basements are just low vibes, low energy. I don't know what it is, but like, yeah, so I never like got good vibes from that house's basement, and I get up and I see this woman in white.
Whoa.
And like, we had like a crawl space, which that was so creepy too. And so she like crossed from the crawl space to like this laundry room. And like all I saw was her just like cross. And it was like this woman, like taller woman with like black hair in a bun and like a Victorian kind of like white dress.
Whoa.
And like I see her cross, but I think that I'm still dreaming because I'm like, I literally just woke up because I needed to go to the bathroom. So like I go to the bathroom, I'm like, go leave the bathroom, and I'm just like, what the hell was that? Like, was I just like dreaming? Like,
I'm so surprised you still went to the bathroom after seeing something so like vivid.
I really needed to go.
I'd immediately like wake up my friends. I'd be like, did you?
I like really needed to go. Plus I was like literally thinking like, oh, that's just like I'm still getting out of a dream.
Yeah, okay. I kind of get the logic there, but I feel like that would have been like super intense. Like,
Yeah, it definitely. Well, listen to this. So then, like, I come back to the bed, and my best friend is like up. Like suddenly, like her face is just like freaking out, and she's like, "Bridget, like you're not gonna believe this." Like, and she's had a lot of like things. Kind of like she had a scratch on her leg from like this demon thing. I think like she's had a
whoa.
lot of.
She's a magnet for it.
Yeah,
Like,
and I don't know if it like followed her there or like what, but so she's like, Bridget, this is like crazy. I saw a woman in white
no
cross.
way.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Like, creepy, but also so cool. Like,
Yeah, it freaked me out because I didn't even have to tell her what I saw, and she said what
it's
I
the exact
exactly
same
saw.
thing. That's so cool. Like, it's one of those ones where, like, when I hear things like that, there's like a part of me that's like a little bit jealous. I'm not gonna lie.
You
Like,
probably
it's
have
so,
great, yeah, you probably have your own stories.
no, but it's like an apparition that clear is so like, unless you're like so spiritually gifted, it's so hard, like rare to see and super hard to see. You guys must have been on like a high frequency that night as well, because like, I don't know, she appeared right in front of you. That's so cool.
No, but it was freaky. Like we both couldn't go to
That
sleep
too.
after. So like I didn't get good vibe. Like I just got like I don't know. It was weird. It's like I don't know.
She must have been quite like, oh, there's a cat outside. Like high energy herself, like in spirit as well, to be able to appear like that.
Yeah, because that's what I've heard, that it takes a lot of energy from like the spirit to do that.
Yeah, that's what is sort of like the belief. Again, it's one of those things like we'll never know until we know, will we? But it seems like it does, because when people are like communing with spirit, like it's really hard for them to get even much of a response, let alone a apparition. But yeah, that's really cool.
Scary. Cool. So another question I have is, so in my script, the shadow figure attempts to replace the main character's physical body by stealing like their silver cord, but this shadow figure is like looks exactly like them, kind of like a doppelganger kind of thing.
Right.
Would that be possible, or have you heard?
I've never heard an account of it happening, I'll be honest, but there are definitely shadow figures in the astral, for sure. Like I sometimes wonder if what I heard was something similar to something like that. So there's so many beings in the astral that you can't see here. It's a completely different plane of existence. So there's definitely shadow people in the astral. Again, that's something to protect yourself against. Like when I say like it's important to protect yourself and your energy, it's like you don't want to attract things that are negative from the astral into your space, which is sort of like the main idea of protection there. As far as it as like something taking over your body, I'm not sure. I have heard one account of like someone's intuition telling them they had to go back to their body because it wasn't safe, like it was endangered by something from the astral. So again, it's hard to draw the line as to, well, if their body was endangered by something in the astral, maybe it was trying to get into her body, but or just damage her in some sort of way or disconnect her. But she got back in time. She was all good. But she said it was like one of the most like terrifying experiences she's ever had while projecting. So again, like I'm not sure how many people have experienced something like that. I have only heard of that one time, and obviously like nothing that extreme happened, but like it sounds like a super interesting plot line for sure. And also there is like an idea in spirituality of your shadow self, and your higher self, so like that's something that it could link to as well, I suppose.
Yeah, I never really thought about that. It could just be her shadow self maybe trying to do it. Instead of
As in like, oh no, I knew what you meant, like as in like a shadow person that looks like her, but like yeah, like there are ideas of shadow self and higher self as well.
Yeah, because like that would probably make more sense than like a shadow figure. Like it would probably just be her shadow self trying to get back with her physical body.
Ooh. You know
That
what?
kind of is
Don't forget me when
interesting.
you're famous. Put me in the ending credits, yeah.
No, dude, I'm telling you, like this script, like I was like literally just drinking wine like 2 Saturdays ago alone. Like I was just like I had to
Very
move,
film
so
studenty of you.
very true. But I was just like sitting and I was like, I'm gonna look at my old scripts, and I found this script about astral projection, and it was like from 3 years ago, and it was a good
Oh, wow.
concept. And I was like, but this just needs a little development. And I was like, I'm just gonna start working on this again. And like things just start to come to me. I don't know what it is, dude, but like this script is like something is weird. Like,
Oh, that's so good. I love like, I don't know, seeing people like thriving with creative projects. Super exciting. I'm excited. I can't wait for it, to be honest.
thank you. I love that too. I love seeing like, yeah, like when people like trust your intuition, and then like when they're in their element. Like I love seeing people in their element.
For sure. And also like the fact that you were so called to do it on like a spiritual type topic. You never know. Maybe it's your call to try and project.
Maybe. I know. I was like, should I? Because like maybe I should do my own research, to write this. Like I should probably have an experience, but it's also scary.
It is quite intense. Understandable, honestly. Like I still sort of am very tentative around it.
Well, you'll have to update me if you do like have some more experience with astral projection.
Oh, I definitely will, for sure.